What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be going over a couple different styles of GSXR 1000 race bikes. We got a Pro Street, a Real Street, and a Grudge bike. We're going to show you the differences in all three, show you what makes one a Pro Street, what makes one a Real Street, and what makes one a Grudge bike. Stay with us in this video, and as always, like and subscribe if you like what you see. Subscribe and click the bell so you get more notifications of further videos that we do in the future. All right, guys, here we go. Alright, so we're going to do a quick walk around of a couple different bikes. This first one here is a stock chassis GSXR 1000 Grudge bike. This is one that we are currently in the process of building. It's not 100% finished yet, but it is very close to being complete. Just wanted to go over and show you a few things on it. You'll see that is my Pro Street bike, Black Mamba. It is also stock chassis, which is very rare in Pro Street. Everyone runs usually a cut chassis bike, cut frame rails. We're going to show you what that means here in just a second. In the middle here, we have another new build that we're doing. This is a Real Street bike. This bike is built for a customer. He'll be competing in XDA Real Street. Real Street has a bunch of different rules that basically make it what it sounds like, a real street bike. And then last over here on the end, we've got another 2007 GSXR 1000. All the bikes you see here in this video are a 2007/2008 style GSXR 1000. So they're all three started from the same motorcycle, and all three are totally different. Now this is a cut chassis, different, what we call in the cradle, you may hear that term, style bike. And just taking a quick glimpse at it, you can look at it and see pretty quick and obvious what the differences are in between it and something, say, like the Real Street. Now on this particular bike, I'm going to try to set up my tripod here and show you. The Samsung Note 10 has got the wide angle camera, so it makes it easy for me to pan out and show you. But on this bike, you're going to actually sit right here when you ride it. So the rider is going to be sitting forward of the stock seating position. From the factory, your seat is basically right in this area. As you can see on the Real Street over there, which is 100% factory seat, factory bodywork, factory gas tank, factory everything. Where this one has a different subframe, different fuel tank. It's actually not a fuel tank, that's a tank shell. The gas tank's actually up here in the front. And then you've got the longer tail section, of course, which is totally different as well. But you can get a really good glimpse at the seating positions from this one to that one. Basically, and all the others that I have here in the video. Now, first let's go to the Real Street first. The Real Street is something that a lot of people can relate to. A lot of people have bikes like this. This is going to be just like your bike at home that you ride on the street. You ride to work every day. This is just like, your bike that you may have bought off the showroom and put a longer swing arm on it. Appearance wise anyways, this particular bike has a big motor in it, piston kit, stroker crank, everything you can think of. This bike also has a standalone ECU, which gives us the ability to control the power management in all shapes, forms, and fashions. So this bike here We're gonna, I guess we'll stick with this Real Street for a minute and start to show you all the things with the class. So in Real Street, they have to have a factory style clutch system. So this clutch, even though it has a quick access clutch cover, it is 100% the factory style clutch. So the way this GSXR 1000 came from the factory, the clutch is still the exact same way. And what we mean by that is the clutch basket, the style, the way the pressure plate works, all that stuff is still factory style. Now, of course, it has much heavier springs, different clutch stack heights, as far as the thickness of the clutch goes. There's a lot of things that, we alter and change in it, but it's all still the factory style. Now, in the class, Real Street, he has to have working headlights, tail lights, brake lights, pretty much every piece of the factory motorcycle except the turn signals, which this bike has. It also has to have a radiator still. So this bike still has a radiator, although it has been cut and shortened a lot. Now, when we shorten the radiator, that gives us much more room to lower the bike. Now, this particular bike, before race season, will get lowered a good bit more. We have not cut the forks on it yet internally. That's on the to-do list, but that makes a big difference helping get the bike lower. Now, this particular one has Rotobox carbon fiber wheels, and it has a swing arm from DME Racing, which gives it a 69-inch wheelbase. The rider that's going to be riding this bike weighs about 185 pounds. So based on the rider weight, how much he weighs, the displacement of the engine, and basically what power adder he has determines the wheelbase of how long the motorcycle can be. So as the way the rules fall, this bike can be 69-inch wheelbase with him riding. Now me, I only weigh 150 pounds, so if I was to ride it, the bike could only be, I think, 65 inches, somewhere around in there. So a lot of that stuff, is all just based on the rules of the class. Now, the seat, this is a factory style seat that we've taken to an upholstery shop and had it trimmed down, and then had the hump, I guess you would say, sewed in. We also have an engine kill switch for safety. If there was to be an accident or the rider was to fall off, this is going to kill the engine. All the factory gauges and everything still work, even though the bike has a max ECU. Brake lights still work, tail lights still work. As you can see, the headlight still works. We just don't utilize the factory key switch. We just keep it for looks. But that's your power button. Push that and that turns everything back on. Now, we will have a shift light mounted right here. That is not yet complete. A few things are not complete that we've still got to button up on this bike. But let's get to the good part. So I left a couple of the bolts loose just so we could do a quick few things and show you guys. You can see this bike has got 24-volt start system, so there's 2 batteries on it, and it has a max ECU race system on it. I'm gonna raise the fuel tank. This bike has a Mafia built wiring harness all on it. You can see everything's really neat, clean, labeled. One thing, the rule, it has to have a factory fuel tank, so this tank does actually have gas in it. Where something like a Pro Street or something uses a fuel cell. We do have to put the rear brakes on the bike. That is not something we have not finished yet, but the rear brakes will go on. Penske racing shocks, lots of different things that you may see on this that you may or may not see on your normal street bike. You're going to notice that this exhaust system on this one is huge, and that's to give the bike, I guess you would say, we have a large amount of nitrous going on this bike, so we need the big exhaust to be able to get all the exhaust out of the engine, and keep the thing as cool as possible. So that's it for the real street. We're going to move on to the pro street now and show you some of the things with it. So this is Black Mamba. This is actually the bike that I ride in Pro Street. It is the stock chassis, the stock seating position, as say is the real street, but you can see it has an aftermarket subframe. And what we mean by that is this piece here has been replaced with an aftermarket piece that we've had made, to where the factory one over there is all original. So this one here is a little different. We have a Penske Racing air shock, which is our favorite here at More Mafia. We love the air shock. We are able to do leaps and bounds with that thing. So as we look over this, you're gonna see some things that you may have never seen before on a motorcycle. One of the things here may be the clutch cover. So a lot of people, I get messages all the time, hey, what is that thing on your clutch cover? What is that airline going to it? So basically what this is it has an MTC Gen 2 clutch in it, but it has an air assist lockup. So what that means is that we can essentially control the lockup of our clutch with our computer system. So we can make the clutch slip a little farther, and then based on the conditions in the run, we can then tell the bike to lock the clutch up, based on several different factors. And we're allowed to lock it up, or able to lock it up whenever we want. Now, it is not a rule. It's just a preference of ours. We have the stock tail section here. This is all 100% factory body work and a factory seating location on this bike. That is an aftermarket tank shell, meaning that there is no gas in this. This is just a fiberglass piece. Now, some people ask a lot of times, why is our tire so shiny? Looks like it has oil on it or something, or tire shine. It's definitely not tire shine. It's actually a compound additive that we put on the tire. That compound additive, I guess you would say, helps with traction and adds traction. It's like a traction compound, more or less, that we add to the tire that makes it grip a little better. Alright, so we'll keep going over a few things. Up in there you will see that's our fuel pump. That's a Protec titanium brushless fuel pump. That fuel pump, in order to supply enough fuel or methanol, this bike runs on methanol, which is alcohol based fuel, takes I guess you'd say almost double what it takes to run a gasoline powered engine. So that fuel pump is $950. Crazy expensive, but it flows unbelievable amounts of fuel. Now, this bike has 1700 cc injectors in it, where a stock GSXR 1000 has 240 cc injectors. So that gives you an idea of the power output that the bike has. You'll see hanging down there, that little strap, that is a hookup for our diaper. We have to run a diaper due to XDA's rules, which basically, if the bike was to drip oil or anything, it would drip it into the diaper. We don't have the diaper on right now because we have the bike here at the shop doing maintenance and stuff on it, but the diaper is just like what it sounds like. absorbs any fluid or anything the engine was to leak, keeps it off the track. So another thing that makes the Pro Street a little different from the real street is the clutch system. So when I ride this bike has an MTC Gen 2. So I essentially twist the throttle wide open on the start line. I hold the clutch all the way to the handlebar, and I just let go. I do not ride the clutch. I don't slip the clutch on this particular bike. I just dump it like that. The centrifugal force of the clutch then slips and allows for so much slippage and then so much to lock up for the launch. So there's different tuning ways around that, and there's a lot to the clutch systems, and I won't go into that. I'm just where a real street, you actually have to have a clutch hand and ride the clutch out to get a good launch. This one we just dump it. So you will see the gauges on this bike all different. We have different I have different displays I can change. I can push the button and change the way the gauges look. Lots of different things. You'll see on here it says GPS search. Now we're indoors, so we're not going to pick up any GPS satellites, but this dash has GPS on it. You'll see the GPS, I guess you would say antenna right here. That antenna picks up GPS signals, which tells the bike where it's at, aka gives us our own time slip going down the track. So for all you grudge racers out there that don't get time slips, or maybe the class you run doesn't give you a time slip after you make a pass on a grudge race, well, it's not the case for us, because we can go back and download the data from our dash and get our exact time slip, and it's dead accurate within 200ths of each real printed ticket we have. When we have a printed ticket and I compare it to that, it's only 200ths off usually. Usually only 100 sometimes. Another thing I'll point out to you on the dash, you'll see we've got a knob here, and what this knob does, this changes the map. You'll see the map change there, and we actually have 5 different positions that we can, different maps that we can go to based on the starting line conditions. If we get up on the line and we see 3 or 4 people spin the tire or something happen, boom, we can flip that switch, turn the power up or down, whatever we think is needed to make the best pass. I think that's about it for the Pro Street. This particular bike does not have a laser on it. A lot of people have asked, where's the wheelie control? In Pro Street, we are allowed to have wheelie control. However, this year we did not run it. We do have traction control system, which allows us to maintain better traction going down the track, and a lot of that stuff is built into that map switch I was showing you. We can change different levels of traction control based on track conditions. Alright, last but not least, we've got a new build that we're doing here. This is another 2007 GSXR 1000. This bike is, I guess you would say, a grudge bike. It is still in the stock seating position. Now, we do not have the seat mounted on the bike yet, which also makes for a better video. I can show you guys a little bit about what's going on. You'll see the little lithium-ion lightweight batteries, and on this one here you're gonna see a I guess you would say that's a plug-in for an additional battery. Now on this bike, grudge bikes, they try to keep the weight as light as possible, so as much stuff as we can take off the motorcycle, we take off. There is no rules for how long it can be, how big it can be, how light it can be. There's 0 rules that pertain to any of that. So as light as you can make it, as long as you can make it, of course, and still get traction, and the bigger you can make your engine and still, not tear it up and go down the track, the better off you are. So a lot of guys will, instead of having 2 batteries on, they'll just have 1 small battery and then an additional battery that you'll plug in with a quick connect in order to crank the bike. The bigger the engine, sometimes they need 2 batteries. They will not start with 1 battery. You'll see on this bike it has a 4-pound nitrous bottle. The bigger shots of nitrous are going to require a bigger bottle. Swing arm is super long. It's about a 78-inch wheelbase. This bike is not 100% finished, but like I said, it was just something that I threw together to put it in the video. It's almost out of gas, that's why the fuel pump is so loud. But you can see this one has a Holley EFI system. We do all sorts of different types of fuel injection or anything. This here is the battery, like a jumper battery of what I was talking about. You can see basically it just has a connector. We plug this connector into that connector, and then you're able to hit the start button on the bike. There's several different ways you can go about doing it. You know, that's just the way this one is wired up and done. So I think that pretty much wraps up this video. If you guys have any questions, please comment in the comments below. If you want to see something else or whatever you want to see for the next video, please comment in the comments below. And as always, please click the like and subscribe button. That helps us out a lot. And we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.